Welcome to the cross-platform cloud-based diagramming tools training video. Today we'll be looking at a couple of examples which are mainly focused on business scenarios, but these tools can be used across many different industries and scenarios. So if you have any questions about how to apply it to your specific situation, you can leave a comment below. I have a couple of objectives for this training video. First, we're going to understand the learning opportunity, what is diagramming, and what can it do for us. Then we'll see two technologies that can help us create, share, and collaborate on these diagrams more effectively and efficiently. Those are cross-platform and cloud-based technologies. We'll see some tools that can do both of these things, and then we'll explore those tools through some live demos. Then I'll give you some examples that will help you implement it in your own situations. So first, let's take a look at the learning opportunity. What is diagramming and what can it do for us? One of the best ways to solve problems is by drawing it out. People have been doing this for a very long time, whether it's a stick in the sand, or using paper and ink, or even a dry erase board and a marker. People have been communicating their thoughts through pictures and diagrams for a very long time. With the creation of computers, we have desktop applications now, like Microsoft Visio, that can help us do that more quickly. And it looks cleaner most of the time, and it can be shared across the world. But how can we do this even more efficiently? We can do this by using two emerging technologies, which are cross-platform and cloud-based web applications. Some examples of how diagrams help us communicate information is stuff that people use every day. By creating mathematical charts, they're solving actual math problems. By looking at graphs, we can see the trends of different parts and pieces to our company. We can create wireframes, which communicates the changes that a developer wants to make to a website when he's communicating to the customer. Mock-ups of applications on our phones or on our computers. And even in 3D modeling, which is a diagram of manufactured parts or even clothing. So, what does cross-platform mean? And why is it important that our tool can do this? Cross-platform is the ability for an application to be used across many different hardware and software systems. This means that the tool can be used on any computer, tablet, phone, and even printers, if that's something you'd like it to be used on as well. It can also be used on any operating system. So some people will have Macs, some people have PCs running Windows, and some people, like myself, will be running PCs using Linux. There's also the need for these tools to react the same way on different web browsers. So a common assumption is that all web browsers react in the same way. That's simply not true. Each web browser is very unique, and it's just recently that code has been developed that reacts in the same way on each of these web browsers. So having a tool that can do that is really important. It cuts down on the time that's spent learning the tool for each user, and it cuts down on a lot of the time that's spent troubleshooting the tools. So what does cloud-based mean, and why is that important? This refers to where we actually store our data. Before, we were storing information directly onto our computer, and only one person, the person with the access to that computer, could open the file and view it at a time. Then we moved to shared servers, which is something like in a company or a school. You have one drive that everyone is saving information to. Everyone can see that the same file exists, however, still only one person can view that file at one time. The cloud gives us economies of scale, so it's cheaper to store our data here, but also gives us the ability for multiple people to be viewing one file and making changes at the same time. So we're going to find a tool that can do both of these things. Again, we want to find something that can be used on any device and that stores our data in the cloud, which helps us collaborate on the information more quickly. So to explore these tools, I just want to look at a couple of real-life examples. A lot of the times learning new software is a lot easier if you have a real example. So these are examples that I've taken from real business situations and kind of stripped them down for the purpose of this training video. So in this first example, we're looking at just creating a simple database diagram. These diagrams are important because it shows us how our database is actually interacting, and it helps when we hire new people, helps them understand the database more quickly because they have a map of the database. So a couple of requirements we want for our tool. It needs to be free. Maybe this is a smaller company, we don't have a lot of capital. We don't want to spend a ton of time downloading or setting up the software. Every minute we lose in download time and setup time is another minute that our competitors are getting ahead. We need it to be easy to use, but it also needs to be simple and professional. We want selected users to be able to view this information, so just our coworkers. And of course, this is all proprietary company information, so we need our data to be secured. The tool that I chose for this is called Lucidchart. You can buy enterprise licenses for it. It's actually a lot cheaper than Microsoft Visio. For example, I worked in a company with 50,000 employees and only a few people had the Visio license because it is so expensive, and it would actually be a ridiculous amount of money for everyone in that company to have the Visio license, which prevents a lot of collaboration because only people with Visio can edit the diagrams. You can view the diagrams, but you can't edit them. So this tool that I'm recommending here can actually enable lots of people to work on it at the same time. The other cool thing about this tool is that it does offer educational discounts, so that's really good for students and for schools. It does work with Microsoft Office products, so if you want to create a diagram and then put it into a Word document, you can do that. It makes it really easy. If you do have people using Visio and they want to move to this tool, they can easily import their diagrams from Visio and start working on them using the web tool. The servers are encrypted, which helps secure our information, and single sign-on is enabled, which means it's one less password for us to remember. For storage, we can choose Dropbox or Google Drive. There's also some other options you can choose as well, but these are the two most popular cloud-based storage options. So let's take a look at Lucidchart and see what it has to offer. So I created a free trial account. You can see that it's already recommending that there are some premium features I might want to look at. You can explore these at your own time. For now, I'm just going to exit out of this. When you first create the account, it'll actually give you a tour of the page. I've already moved through those different pop-ups, so I'm just going to give you a quick tour. The top gray bar is where you're going to see a couple of tools that you can click on. You have this little notifications bell as well. Below that, it has a notification. It's telling me that I have a free account and I can try a paid account if I'd like to. On the left hand side, you have a toolbar. This is going to show you your file system for right now. And kind of in the center of the page, you have some template options. You can add, create a blank document. You can create a folder to store your different documents within Lucidchart, and you can import from different locations as well. So as you can see, that's one of the premium features, and I could start a trial, but for today we're just going to be creating a simple database diagram. So I could start from a blank diagram if I want to, but I'm thinking about using a template because it'll get me set up a lot more quickly. The cool thing about templates in Lucidchart is that there are so many. You can be a business and need a flowchart or an org chart. You can be a school and be creating mind maps or Venn diagrams or other relationship diagrams, or you can even be a contractor and create a floor plan for a house. This is why I love this tool. So many different kinds of users can use it and get started more quickly because the templates exist. I'm going to click on more templates. Oh, looks like I've already used all my templates. Let's see. We can, if you click on the documents that you've created and click on this more, these three little dots, it's going to give you a little menu and you can delete them. So with the free trial, it looks like we can only have 3 documents at a time. And I've been practicing using this tool. So we'll delete all those, and now we can create a template. If I click on more templates, you can see that there's a ton of different options you can choose from on the left. So you can have a tablet or a phone for Apple. You can also see the Android options. There's some educational diagrams that include the name and date, so that's good for teachers. There are some mind maps, some org charts, which is really helpful, especially businesses are always changing headcount, so changing the org charts is always happening. But for today, we're going to look at entity relationship diagrams. This is commonly used for databases, and we're going to use this database management system entity relationship diagram. It's very basic, so if we click on it, it's going to load the diagram. A little bit of gamification here, giving you tips while it loads. And it loads a very simple template. Now you'll notice this looks kind of like your Office products, where you can change the text at the top. You have your commands up here: File, Edit, View, Insert. And on the left hand side you have your toolbar. So this template gets me started where it has a lot of our boxes. These are also called entities already on the screen. If I want to edit, I'm just going to double click and I can start typing, and that'll change the text. If I want to change the color of this box, I can do that by changing the fill color, make it yellow. And I can also change the font if I want to, make it really fancy. So it's very simple to edit these and create more content. So if I want to add another box, I can go over to the left, click on the box that I want, and drag it anywhere on the page, and that gives me a new box. To create the relationships between different boxes, you hover over the box that you want to start with, and you can choose any of these white circles. These are your connecting points. Click on one after it highlights red, and then drag the arrow that's created over to another box at its connecting point. And that will connect your boxes. You can also change the color of arrows as well. You can add titles, you can expand this, this little sheet here. You can create more pages if you'd like to, so you can have multiple diagrams on different pages in one file. And if you'd like to collaborate with someone, you go to the top right, click the share button, and that is going to ask you to name your document. I'm going to skip it for now. And then you can get a shareable link, or you can add people by their email address, and those people can actually come in and work on this document at the same time that you're working on it. If you go to the toolbar on the right and click on these arrows to expand it, you can go down to this little speech bubble, and this will open up the chat. So if 2 people or more people are working on this at the same time, they can use the chat to talk to each other and understand what is the other person thinking. Can we make this color box a different color to highlight it to other people when they're looking at this? Different things like that. So you can see that this is a really simple and easy to use tool that can help us create diagrams really quickly and share them very efficiently. So let's go back to our presentation, and that was Lucidchart. So we'll just review our use case. We wanted to create a simple diagram, and we saw how simple and easy that was. Our tool was free, we didn't have to download or set up anything. It was easy to use. Other people can access our information if we want them to. And we saw that Lucidchart has secured servers, so that is going to protect our information. So if you have any more questions about Lucidchart, you can feel free to comment below, or you can also contact Lucidchart directly and they'll give you a tour of the site and talk with you and see what options are best for you. For this second use case, we're going to switch gears and just create a simple flowchart. Database diagrams are a little more complicated, so this flowchart is a little easier, although flowcharts can get complicated as well. We don't have time to download anything, we just want to open something, create the flowchart, get in, get out. However, we do want our data to remain secure, and we want to have something for easy collaboration. So the tool that I chose for this is Draw.io. You can store your information in 2 places, Google Drive or OneDrive. You can also save it to your desktop as well. We'll see that when we open Draw.io. There is a web application, which is the one we'll be looking at, but there's also a desktop version. So if you want to work on your diagrams while you're offline, you can do that as well. The awesome thing about Draw.io, especially for project managers, is that all of the data that you create can be directly imported into Confluence or to Jira. So for project managers, those are 2 awesome applications that can help you manage your projects. Works for every web browser. Draw.io does not store any data. You choose where you want it to be stored in the beginning, and that's where it's always stored. And all of the data that you create is protected under the Creative Commons license. Just a little aside, you should always read the privacy policies and terms and conditions and verify how much rights you're actually giving away to your data when you create content on different websites. Some of it's protected and some of it's not, so just something to be aware of. So let's take a look at Draw.io and see what it has to offer. You can see it starts up really quickly. It asks you where would you like to save your diagrams to. I'm actually going to click decide later because I won't be saving anything today. If you'd like to, you can click on this quick start video at the very bottom of the screen and it'll give you a little tour of Draw.io. I'm not going to go through that today, but it's there for you if you need it. You can change the title of your diagram at the very top. You have some menu bars below that, and then you have your toolbars in this gray area. There's also a toolbar on the left and a toolbar on the right. So it starts you off with a blank diagram. You can also add in just plain shapes and start creating, or there are a lot of other templates that they've created as well. If you want to, you can click on more shapes at the very bottom, this left-hand toolbar, and you can see it gives you Android templates, it gives you Apple templates, and all of the standardized icons that these different businesses use, including Cisco, IBM, and floor plans. So you can create your floor plan on here as well, which is really nice. So we're just going to be creating a simple flowchart. I don't know why my default color is purple, but I'm going to change it to white. I'm doing that by using this style toolbar on the right hand side. So I'm just going to go to the general column on the left hand side, and I'm going to choose some shapes. To delete a shape, you just click on it and click delete on your keyboard. Any flowchart is going to have a start and a finish, so those are standardized with the shapes ellipses. I want to make my start green for go and my end red for stop. So I want to add some text. I can click on a shape and just start typing. I'm going to do that to both of these. And then I have two processes that happen in this flowchart, which I'm going to put in the center. You can see that when I drag the shapes over, it gives you an alignment tool where you can make sure your shapes are on the same line as each other, so it looks nice. I'm going to connect these by hovering over the first item on any of these blue X's. It'll highlight green. I can click and I can drag that arrow over to another connection point on the next shape. So I'm just going to put it right here. I'm going to do the same thing for the next shape and the final shape. So this is our basic flowchart. You can see we have a start, a finish, we have some boxes in between. These note our processes, so we can add some text there. And that's your basic flowchart. So you can add titles, you can add some text if you'd like to give it a title. You can add some more information. You can add little people, all kinds of different things, and really customize it so it looks nice and fits the need that you're trying to fill. So we can see how simple Draw.io is and how we got it set up quickly and how we created our diagram quickly. So you'll notice that I don't have anything saved yet, so it tells me that my data I created is not saved. I can click on this and choose where to save it, and it gives me a couple of different options. So now we can see that I can save it to Dropbox, I can save it to GitHub, I can save it to Trello, to the device, to a browser. I can download to my desktop. Lots of different places I can save it. And so to share this information, two people can't work on a Draw.io diagram at the same time. That is one thing that it lacks. But if I save it to a shared drive, other people can see the document and they can collaborate more quickly because they don't have to download the software. They just simply go to Draw.io and open it from the shared drive. If you click on File, you can also see that you can import items here. You can export this data that you created as a picture, as a file, as HTML code. It'll create the code that you need to embed it if you'd like to embed it somewhere. You can publish a link to it, and you can also just save it, and that'll give you those storage options again. So really simple, really easy to use. Now let's go back to our presentation and we will review. So we can use this tool, Draw.io, on any platform. Our data is secured because it's not stored on Draw.io servers, it's stored where we choose it to be stored. It's really simple and fast to set up, so collaboration and wait time is easy and quick. So now let's take a look at how we can implement it in your business situations. Before you get started in the tool, you need to think about the size of your business, where you want to store the data, and we can't forget to train other people who will be using the tool. So take a look at the different options that Lucidchart gives you. Maybe you need an enterprise license, maybe the free trial is enough for you. Maybe you're a school and you need to apply for the educational discounts and different things like that. So always make sure you do your research, and that will help you implement the tool more smoothly. The same thing goes for Draw.io. What are your storage needs? Is the storage area that you want to put your data on available in these different systems? Will you be integrating your information into your project management tools like Jira? And again, don't forget to train other people on how to use these tools. It'll make everybody more effective when using it. So let's try it. You can choose either Lucidchart or Draw.io or even another program. But what I recommend doing is learning by actually getting in there and practicing with the tools. And these are some examples that you can try to recreate, which will help you learn how to use the tools. So this one's very simple. You're just going to drag in some rectangles, connect the different rectangles. You're going to add some text. Some of the text you want to be bold, some of it you want to be regular. You want to change the text so it's a little bit more custom. And you want to make sure that you can drag the boxes and put them in the different locations, as you can see here. So this is a basic information architecture diagram, but you can put anything you want in there. This could be like a family tree, different things like that. The next example is a wireframe. So you'll see both in Lucidchart and in Draw.io that there are wireframe templates. Doesn't have to look exactly like this, but make sure that you try to put in some images, try to put in some titles, some subtitles, change the font, change the size of the text, add some more images, make sure that you understand how to put in menu buttons and search buttons, and then your navigation tools up here, and really explore the different shapes and templates that the tools give you. So always look for that. And if you choose a template in either of these tools, you can always add more shapes to that template. You don't have to be restricted to just the shapes that are given with that template, so keep that in mind. Another example is a mobile wireframe. So this is very similar to the one we saw before. It's just in the mobile phone format. So make sure you can add pictures, your navigation tools, change the fonts, change the colors of the different sections, and also put in a call out. This is a diagram, it's trying to show you something and communicate some information, so having a call out like this is important. It's something that you'll use a lot. So this is another example you can try. And remember, you can pause the video at any time that you want, especially when you're creating those different diagrams as you're practicing. But for now, let's review. Diagramming is important because it can help us communicate with each other and brainstorm our ideas, which can help us solve problems and work more efficiently. This world is global now, and the ability for people to be able to work on content together is crucial. It saves a lot of time, and we all know that time is money. We need the ability for our data to be fast, secured, and easily accessible. The cloud enables us to do this. People are using all different kinds of software and hardware now, so cross-platform tools are very important. And we saw two examples, Lucidchart and Draw.io. I did want to point out some resources that you can use that will help you create diagrams as well, not just Lucidchart and Draw.io. There's a lot of different resources that you can use. One of them is Balsamiq. This is a really popular tool as well. You can also use Microsoft Visio. It's still available to you, and a lot of people really like it. There's also OmniGraffle, which is a good tool. But the best list that I found was actually a list of competitors to Draw.io, and I included the link here so you can go there and see it and decide for yourself which tool is the best for you. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And if you try a tool and decide that it's not right for your business, the best thing about web-based tools is that the setup time is so small that it doesn't really waste any of your time. It just gives you a new learning opportunity, and you can move on to the next tool to figure out if that's the right one for you. So I hope you enjoyed this training program, and it gives you a little more insight into why diagramming is effective and important, and some tools that can help you create and share and collaborate on these diagrams in an efficient and effective way. Thanks.